Students, welcome to the subject software engineering. Today we'll be dealing with new topic, that is architectural styles and patterns. Students, you very well know what is meant by architectural style. Point number 1. In case of construction of building, the builder uses the term architectural style to describe the mechanism to differentiate the house from other styles. Students, you know the term architecture. It is mostly related to building of houses or big, okay, structures. So when you talk about the architecture, okay, it is to differentiate between other buildings and the building under construction, so that anyone would get idea how the new building will be constructed. Point number 2. The architectural style is also a template for construction. Further details regarding house must be specified, but mentioning the style guides the builder in his work. Students, architectural style works as a template. So it gives broad idea how the construction would be. But anyhow, to construct the final building, there should be all details available, including measurements, flooring, okay, and all structures. Now, referring to the software, that is architectural style with respect to software. Point number 1, the software built for computer-based system also exhibits one of the many architectural styles. Okay, when you are building a software, how it is going to be really built? So that style or that, okay, template can be mentioned here. Point number 2, each style describes the system category that encompasses the following points. 1. A set of components, for example, a database or modules that perform a function required by system. Point number 2. A set of connectors that enable communication, coordination, and cooperation among the components. Third, constraints that define how the components can be integrated to form the system. And the fourth point, semantic models that enable a designer to understand the overall properties of a system by analyzing the known properties of constituents parts. So students, so this architectural style, okay, mentions everything with the help of which a software can be very well built. It speaks about the various components, that is database or modules. It speaks about how they are going to be interconnected. Okay, it speaks about the constraints that are going to be there when the software is being developed, and semantic models, that is similar models that which can be taken into consideration. Point number 3, an architectural style is transformation that is imposed on design of an entire system. Point number 4, the intent is to establish a structure of all components of the system. Students, okay, with the architectural style known, you can design the software, okay, and you can also know what is going to be the structure of every component that forms part of the system. So architectural style is very important. Next, we'll go to architectural pattern. Like architectural style, architectural patterns imposes a transformation on the design of the architecture. So similar to architectural style, students, architectural pattern also imposes a transformation on the design of the architecture. That is what was studied earlier. But the pattern differs from a style in fundamental ways. So, one, the scope of pattern is less broad, focusing on the one aspects of the architecture rather than the architecture in its entirety. So students, scope of the pattern is limited to particular aspect, whereas scope of the architectural style encompasses full building or full software. Point number two, a pattern imposes a rule on architecture, describing how the software will handle some aspects of its functionality at infrastructural level. For example, concurrency. Concurrency, you very well know, you have studied in DBMS. That is, when two processes run simultaneously, we say they are concurrent in nature. The architectural patterns tend to address specific behavior issue with the context of the architecture. For example, how the real-time applications handles the synchronization or interrupts. So students, only for small aspects of the software, architectural patterns are adopted. Point number two, patterns can be used in conjunction with the architectural style to establish the shape, the overall structure of the system. Students, so pattern and architectural style work together to develop the software. Let us study the taxonomy of architectural styles. All the computer-based taxonomy means various categories or classification of the architectural styles. All the computer-based systems that have been created so far can be categorized into one of the following architectural styles. So there are 5 architectural styles. Those are 1. Data center architecture, second, data flow architecture, call and return architecture, fourth, object oriented architecture, and layered architecture. Students, now we shall see the diagram of all of this architecture. First, we'll consider data center architecture. So in this data center architecture, students, you can see the data store or repository is at the center. Okay, and then all the clients software are connected to it. So data is at the center and all the clients software which want services of the data store, they can avail it. Next, data flow architecture. Here you can see the data flows, okay, moves from one filter to another filter through the pipes. So here we consider how data moves from one section to another section and wherever it is filtered. Okay. So next category is call and return architecture. Students, this call and return architecture, that is how many clients can a server serve, that is very important here. Here client gives a call and server gives services. That is what is studied here in call and return architecture. In the next category, that is layered architecture, you can see that various layers are there and each layer has different components. For example, core layer is the innermost, then you got utility layer, then application layer, and the outermost is user interface layer. So with this layered architecture, you can develop a system which more easily interacts with the user. Now we'll go to the architectural patterns. So architectural patterns, students who have studied, there are some aspects related to architectural patterns. They are concurrency, persistence, and distribution. As far as concurrency is concerned, it means application must handle multiple tasks in a manner that stimulates parallelism. Students, concurrency means two or more tasks, if carried out simultaneously, we say they are concurrent in nature. So here also, when you're developing software, concurrency is important. That is, multiple tasks should be carried out simultaneously. For example, operating system process management pattern or task scheduler pattern. In case of operating system also, concurrency is more important, or it is more relevant there. Also in the task scheduler, you have studied in operating system last time, or okay, so I need not repeat it here. Next, persistence. Data persists if it survives past the execution of the process that created it. Students, persistence means what? Continue to live. So many times data objects vanish or lose, okay, their existence once the process that has created it closes. But if the data continues to be there, we say it is persistent in nature. So the two patterns that are common as far as persistence is concerned is a database management system pattern that applies the storage and retrieval capability of a DBMS to the application architecture. And second, the application level persistence pattern that builds persistence features into application architecture. Next point is distribution. So it is the manner in which system or components within the system communicate with one another in a distributed environment. And last is a broker. So what is broker? A broker acts as a middleman between the client component and the server component. So students, today we have learned two aspects as far as architectural design is concerned, that is architectural style and architectural patterns. Okay, so I'll be sending PDF. You can please note this PDF and take the diagram from PPT itself. And if you got anything, you can give me a call. Thank you.